My name is Sharon, and today I'll be cooking ham yu jing jiu bang, also known as steamed pork with salted fish. This is a traditional Cantonese dish. You could probably find a very similar dish, which is the one with the salted egg yolk outside, but you really cannot find the ones with the salted fish. My late grandfather came to Singapore when he was probably about like 8 or 9. It was then that I think my great-grand-auntie was the one who taught him how to cook this Cantonese dish. He used to cook for the kids and the grandchildren, and this is the dish that I remember him by. It's one of his favorite dishes to make at home. And whenever the smell of that pungent and aromatic salted fish just fills the home, we know it's time for dinner. I'm going to start preparing the water chestnut. I will need about 2 water chestnuts. The water chestnut really gives it a little bit of crunch. If you cannot find fresh water chestnut, you can also find the ones that are already peeled or canned water chestnut. So happen you live overseas and you couldn't find any water chestnut, you can use green apple as a substitute. So when you're done dicing the water chestnut, just put it into a large mixing bowl. Next we will prep the ginger. We're going to skin the ginger. You really don't need a knife to skin the ginger, just use the back of the spoon to scrape off the skin. We're just going to use about 1 inch. So after slicing it thinly, you julienne. Set this aside. We are going to put the pork into the bowl. We don't rinse the pork, but sometimes the liquid of the pork comes out after leaving it out for a little while. Just drain the liquid away. 500 grams of pork is enough to feed about 3 to 4 people. Next, we'll season the pork. First, we're going to put in the corn flour, then sesame oil, soy, a little bit of white pepper, and some sugar. The sugar evens out the saltiness of the salted fish. The beauty of this dish is that you just have to put everything into the bowl and start mixing. I'm going to use a spoon first because it's easier, and then we'll just change it to a chopstick. This dish is really simple because it is a really very old recipe, and at that point of time, things are just simple, you know. You put everything in, you steam it. Just go in a circular direction. By doing so, your meat will bind together and gives you a very springy texture. And don't forget the Shaoxing wine. So keep stirring until you see that everything is pretty well combined. So at this point you could see that the meat texture has changed. So we could then put it into a stainless steel bowl or a heat-safe bowl. You need to flatten the meat into a patty. The thickness of the patty is really up to you, but as long as it is thin, it takes a shorter period of time to cook. Use the back of the spoon to make a small indentation in the middle. This is where the fish would sit. Then we'll add the salted fish. Wash the fish. There's 2 kinds of salted fish that you can find in the market. This is the soft one, the other one is a dehydrated dried one. The reason why we put the whole fish into the pork patty is because as the pork is steaming, the flavors of the fish would infuse the pork. Sprinkle the prepared ginger. You sprinkle a little more of ginger on the fish because it helps to reduce that pungent smell and the fishiness. And now it's ready to be steamed. So now we're ready to steam. Get your steamer going on high. Cover it and steam for 15 minutes. I cook this dish not very often actually, only when I kind of feel a little bit down. It helps to cheer me up because of, you know, that feeling, that safe feeling. When I do travel with my husband overseas, if I'm able to get salted fish, I would make it because it reminds me of home. So 15 minutes is up and we are ready to eat. Garnish it with some chopped parsley and sliced chili for colors. I feel really honored to share this dish on My Singapore Food because I feel that heritage dishes like this has so much culture and memories. So I hope this would inspire others to preserve their family recipes and also share the stories behind it to future generations.